In this video, we'll look at creating and placing cameras in 3ds Max. I've opened up 23 station camera creation start, or you can continue with the file from the previous exercises. Right now, we have our scene and one working camera, camera 001. We've set our render size roughly, and gotten in at least a shot where we can see what's going on. However, I'd like to get in some other cameras. We can have as many cameras in the view as we'd like to show off our work, either still or motion. What I'll do then, right now, is rename this working camera. I'll click on the camera label and choose Select Camera, and I'll name this Working. That way I know it's just a working camera, not one of my actual shots. Very often in one scene we're going to have multiple cameras, each is one shot, so that the camera motion can be fairly smooth. To make a camera then, I'll do one of two things. In a top view, choose Create and Target Camera. The camera button, Standard, and Target. There's two types of cameras in 3ds Max. A target camera is a camera with a target we can manipulate like an object. Picking the target and moving it rotates the camera to look at the target. What we see here for the camera is really a place to render a view from. That the camera icon is simply here to let us know it's a camera. It's not actually a film camera, as the icon would suggest. Really what it is a place and a perspective that behaves like a true camera. The other kind of camera we have is a free camera. If you make a free camera in a perspective or an orthographic, that camera faces down to the floor. I prefer to go into a front or left view, for example, by hitting F or L and making the camera, so that free camera is parallel to the floor to begin with. There's my camera stuck in the middle of the window. I'll pull it forward. With a camera then, the way it thinks of depth in here and motion is like this. Under View, I'll drop down and pick Local, and this is the coordinate axis system I'm using. In all cameras then, Z-depth is expressed as a negative value from the camera forward. That's where we get that term Z-depth from, when we use it for application of depth of field. The way we need to think of it, though, is that for a camera, Y is up, Z aims to the back, and X is to the side. Functionally, the two cameras are the same, with the exception of a target on the target camera. You can use either one you'd like. The way I usually think of it is that a free camera is a handheld camera, or a Steadicam, whereas a target camera is a dollied or craned camera, where there's some kind of apparatus that smooths out that motion. On set often, we'll use a crane or a dolly to steady that camera as it moves forward and backward, or up and down, or even pans to the side. To start with in the train station, I'll press T for top view, Z to zoom extents, and make a target camera, clicking once on the right side in the entry and dragging into the room. I'll right-click to stop creating. As with all objects in Max, if you keep clicking, you'll make more of them, and I don't want 27 cameras running around right now. For now, I'll switch back my reference coordinate system to the view, and press C to go into my camera. If you have a camera selected and you press C for camera, it takes you to that camera. If nothing is selected and you're in another view and you have multiple cameras in the scene, pressing C gives you a dialog, Select Camera, and there's Camera 1 and Working Cam. I'll pick Camera 1, and the first thing I'll always do with the camera is rename it. To select the camera, click on the viewport label, Camera 1 here, and choose Select Camera. I'll rename this camera Shot 001. What I'll also do here is look at the millimeters and lens. If you notice, this lens at 15 has a field of view of 65, and the reason for that is the type of shot we've chosen. We had set up our output for an HD TV, and the aperture is 20. If you're used to working in 35mm, for example, this aperture width will come up, and we need to adjust it here in the custom settings. Once I return this back to 35 or 36, and here's my resolution at 1280 by 720, we'll see that a nearly 28mm lens produces a 65-degree field of view correctly. So it depends on what we're shooting with. Even if you're not dealing in film, this aperture width still applies. Now what I'll do is with this camera, choose 28 in my stock lenses on the right, and there's my correct field of view. I'll pan up, clicking the mouse wheel in and holding Shift to constrain direction. I'll press F3 for a shaded view, and there's my camera in the scene. It's ready to animate. To make another camera, simply go into whatever view you'd like and create a new one. I'll make one more here. We'll treat shot 1 as the establishing shot, showing us the scale of the space, and I'll do a free camera near one of the chairs that will pan up. I'll press L for left view, F3 for a wireframe, and make my camera. The question, of course, is, am I in the right place? Where is a left view? And the left view is actually in the wall mural. So instead, I'll press V for view and R for right, and now this camera is going to be looking down at the wall mural and starting in the entry for continuity. I'll choose Create, Free, and click once, right-clicking to stop creating. I'll name this camera Shot 002. It's perfectly fine to have multiple cameras in one scene to tell a story. Maybe there's an A and a B showing the action going on from two different places, or one camera handles the introduction and another is a detail. We have all sorts of things we can do, and you can use as many cameras as you like. For this, I'll use a 35mm stock lens, and the field of view goes down. What that means then is that this blue cone here is my field of view, and it represents how much I see in the scene. I'll pull my camera back to show this. I'll press C for camera and F3 for a shaded view. With a small stock lens, for example a 20, which is nearly a fisheye, the scene looks very, very deep. The field of view is very, very wide, and it looks like I have a lot of length here. Switching to a 35 makes the seats look like they're closer. In reality, I've narrowed down the field of view. The seat hasn't changed, the scene hasn't changed, and the camera has not gotten closer to anything. Switching to an 85, for example, feels like we're going to run into the back wall. Typically, we'll see this kind of a view on a close-up, where we need the camera to be close to somebody and to flatten out that background. You have a lot of flexibility in this. It really is up to you how you'd like to get these cameras in and frame your shot. Once the cameras are created, we can think about composition, and we'll do this in the next video.